You walk into a room, and before you say a word, people feel something. It is not magic, and it is not mysticism. It is the invisible gravity that builds around a man who has trained himself to hold back what most people give away too easily. Discipline leaks through body language. Focus hums through the air. People feel the difference between noise and control. Most men rush through life with scattered attention, chasing stimulation and reacting to every flicker of pleasure or pain. The man who has mastered himself moves differently, quietly, deliberately, as if he is made of compressed thunder. When you live with restraint, your nervous system recalibrates. Your energy does not scatter. You stop twitching for validation. You start choosing your words like currency. Your eyes hold longer, steadier, unblinking. People pick up on that even subconsciously. The social world is a sensitive instrument that vibrates to confidence. When you are centered, everyone near you adjusts their frequency to match. That is what presence really is, psychological leadership. It is not about dominance or intimidation, it is about signal strength. When your internal signal is clear and unbroken, everyone else tunes in. Most people walk through life leaking energy. They scroll, complain, gossip, argue, and pour emotion into emptiness. They call that being alive, but it is really just running from silence. The man who practices restraint learns to sit with silence until it becomes his ally. Silence teaches you control. It sharpens your instincts. You begin to notice details others miss. The flicker in someone's tone, the weight of a pause. The difference between attention and attraction. Women notice it first because they are more attuned to subtle cues. When you are calm, grounded, and not grasping for approval, it creates a polarity. Social current reverses. You stop chasing and start drawing. It is not that they sense some invisible aura, they sense coherence. Your mind, body, and emotions move in one direction. You're not torn between impulses. That unity has always been rare, and rarity attracts curiosity. When you look at someone with calm self-assurance, without hunger, without flattery, it is disarming. Most eyes ask for something: approval, affection, escape. Your eyes do not. They say, "I am already complete." That statement, even without words, rearranges the room. Biology explains this better than mysticism ever could. When you practice discipline, your hormonal system balances. Testosterone stabilizes, cortisol lowers, and dopamine sensitivity resets. You stop chasing short-term spikes and start feeling long-term satisfaction. That hormonal stability manifests as quiet confidence, relaxed shoulders, measured breathing, steady tone. Your face looks more symmetrical because stress hormones no longer distort your expression. The result is that you simply appear more trustworthy, more capable, more grounded. People cannot always explain it, but they respond to it. The crowd feels the field of someone who does not need to perform. That is the paradox. When you stop needing attention, you start commanding it. Your restraint gives people permission to trust you because you are not broadcasting insecurity. You're not proving anything. You simply are. Presence is the art of being instead of performing. Every man who has ever changed history understood this truth, whether he could articulate it or not. Warriors before battle, monks in meditation, inventors in solitude, all practiced focus so sharp it could slice through noise. When you cultivate discipline, you create an internal pressure that fuels purpose. Energy that is not wasted on distraction becomes momentum. Momentum radiates as charisma. People call it a vibe, but it is actually chemistry combined with integrity. Integrity is alignment between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. That is the trinity of power. You can see it in posture. The man who has mastered himself does not slouch because he's not hiding from anything. He's not trying to shrink his presence. His spine becomes a flagpole of intent. Every gesture communicates calm control. Crowds instinctively orient around such a person the way iron filings align to a magnet. It is not manipulation. It is physics of confidence. You have seen it before. The leader who enters a space and shifts its temperature without raising his voice. That is not charisma you are born with. It is charisma you earn through discipline. The modern world tries to convince you that pleasure equals freedom, that the instant you want something, you should have it. But pleasure without boundaries rots into weakness. A man who cannot say no is a servant to his impulses. Every no you practice builds invisible muscle. Every moment of restraint stacks into authority. Authority over yourself is the only real authority there is. Once you have it, everything else, respect, attraction, influence, becomes a side effect. When you walk into a crowd, people subconsciously read your nervous system. Are you centered or scattered? Are you grounded or desperate? They feel it before they know it. The disciplined man emits safety and danger at once. Safety, because he is controlled. Danger, because he is capable. That polarity triggers attention. It is why still water draws the eye more than turbulence. Calm is rare, and rarity is magnetic. You do not get there overnight. It is built one choice at a time. You start by noticing where you waste energy, arguments that go nowhere, habits that dull your edge, screens that drain your focus. You start cutting them. The first week feels impossible. Second feels powerful. By the third, you realize how much of your life was spent on autopilot. The moment you regain control of one habit, you realize the same principle applies everywhere. The less you scatter, the more you command. Soon your body language starts updating itself. No longer fake confidence because your nervous system runs it as default. You speak slower with weight. You move with purpose. Crowds respond instinctively because biology recognizes order. The human brain evolved to trust signals of steadiness. That is why military posture, meditative breathing, and calm tone have such universal influence. They broadcast predictability and control, and social dynamics that translates to respect and attraction. There is a strange peace that comes with this transformation. You no longer enter a room to prove you belong. You enter as though you already do. Worth is non-negotiable. Not because you say it out loud, but because your actions have proven it to yourself. Self-respect replaces performance. That is the kind of energy people call aura. It is not mystical. It is behavioral mathematics. Enough repeated acts of restraint to rewire your identity. Become the kind of man who does not beg the world to recognize him. The world simply does. Crowd's response becomes predictable. People make room for you without realizing it. Conversations tilt toward your gravity. You do not interrupt, yet others pause when you speak. Women pick up on subtle cues of confidence long before words start. Micro-expressions, scent, eye focus, pacing. You are not chasing, you are choosing. That change in dynamic turns curiosity into attraction. Authentic attraction is not about appearance. It is about emotional safety combined with potential excitement. Restraint creates both. But here's the secret. This power is not about control over others. It is about stewardship of self. If you use your discipline just to manipulate or impress, it corrodes. The purpose is not dominance, it is mastery. Mastery radiates humility, not arrogance. True confidence does not shout, it does not need to. The louder you brag, the less people believe. Quieter you are, the more they watch, because they can feel something solid behind the silence. Imagine standing in a crowd where everyone is trying to be seen. They raise their voices, wave their hands, shout their opinions. You stand there still, listening. The noise bends around you like wind around a mountain. That is the difference discipline makes. People crave stability in a chaotic world. Be that stability, and you become the reference point. You do not compete, you redefine the scale. This does not mean repressing emotion. It means channeling it. Anger becomes drive. Desire becomes focus. Restlessness becomes ambition. Every emotion is raw energy, and discipline is the dam that turns it into hydroelectric power. The man who lets emotion spill wastes it in drama. The man who contains it fuels achievement. That transformation is the real alchemy people write legends about. When you maintain that level of control long enough, others sense they cannot push you off balance. That is when respect turns into admiration. You are no longer just another participant in the crowd. You are the axis it spins around. The air shifts because certainty is contagious. When you know who you are, others remember who they want to be. But there is danger too. Power without humility becomes tyranny. Discipline without compassion becomes coldness. The goal is not to turn into a statue. It is to become fire under ice, warmth contained, strength controlled. You use your stability not to lord over others, but to lift them. A real man's presence does not suppress, it steadies. People feel safer, stronger, and clearer around you. That is leadership. You will notice how noise starts to lose its grip. You stop reacting to insults, gossip, even praise. External approval becomes background static. Your attention stays on purpose. That focus breeds results, and results breed quiet confidence. Every success reinforces the truth that control creates freedom. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. It is no longer being enslaved by what you want. Crowds test that constantly. The moment you walk in, their eyes, their chatter, their chaos try to pull you into rhythm. Your job is to hold your own tempo. When you can stay centered in noise, you have won. You are not battling the crowd. You are mastering resonance. And once you can do that in any room, life itself becomes your arena. Discipline also transforms creativity. When your mind is not fractured by indulgence, imagination sharpens. Ideas come cleaner, execution faster. The artists, athletes, and leaders all know this secret. Control amplifies creation. Energy withheld in one direction explodes in another. What you refuse physically, you express mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. That is why people who live with restraint often radiate intensity. It is not repression, it is redirection. Eventually, this way of living ceases to feel like effort. It becomes identity. The aura everyone talks about is not a glow, it is consistency. People trust what is consistent. When your words, actions, and energy align over time, others sense reliability. That reliability becomes magnetism. Reliability combined with confidence equals influence. Influence is not control, it is gravity. Gravity does not chase planets, simply exists, and everything nearby orbits naturally. This is what happens when you walk into a crowd as a man of restraint, discipline, and focus. You have turned yourself into a force field of calm and tension. You do not demand attention, yet you receive it. You do not chase respect, yet you earn it. Do not pursue attraction, yet it flows toward you. All because you have done the hardest thing a human can do: govern yourself. The modern world laughs at self-control because it fears it. Entire industries survive on your distraction. But once you reclaim your focus, you are no longer a customer. You are a creator. Your time becomes valuable. Your word becomes bond. Your gaze becomes influence. You become the kind of man who walks into chaos and brings order by existing. That is not aura, it is evolution. The journey never ends. Discipline is not a finish line, it is a rhythm. Some days you will falter, and some days you will rise higher than you imagined. But every day you choose restraint, you are polishing the diamond of your presence. Crowds may notice, women may notice, but that is not the point. The point is that you notice. You have turned noise into harmony. You have turned chaos into composure. You have turned want into will. When that happens, rooms open up. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. You have stopped being another body in the crowd and become a force of nature moving through it. That is the real transformation, the shift from seeking validation to radiating conviction. No mysticism, no tricks, just the raw science of discipline translated into behavior. The aura is not around you, it is inside you, projected outward through every deliberate breath. And once you taste that level of control, you can never go back. Because nothing in the world feels as powerful as calm. Nothing commands more attention than peace earned through fire. The world bows not to noise, but to the man who no longer needs to prove his power. He simply carries it.